big round of applause for Dr. Satya Vadlamani.
Good afternoon, everyone. And Leslie, thanks for the wonderful introduction. And of course, I can't thank Dr. Satya Brahma any more than I do, because he's one of the best persons I have known. A man who's really passionate about all the work he does. So, once again, good afternoon, namaste to everybody. Before I start my presentation, I would just like to also explain about who I am and why I'm here. I'm here to talk about the innovations of our company. We are a 15-year-old company. We started off in 2004. Our factory is European Union approved, and we are also approved by various regulatory bodies from different countries. So having said that, let me start off. I'm an electrical engineer, by the way. I'm a doctorate, but I'm an electrical engineer. I'm not a pharmacist. But I've been working in pharma since 1992, so it's been long innings in that particular industry. So thank you for trying to listen to me. So let me start off with what I'm talking about. Here we are talking about transdermal delivery of micronutrients. And what is transdermal delivery? I think everybody here is aware of what transdermal delivery is all about. Transdermal delivery means we are talking about delivery through the skin. Micronutrients are not very often given by the skin. They are often what is called as an oral route, is the route which is available. This presentation is primarily, and it describes actually the journey of Murli Krishna Pharma into this innovative development. In fact, the man who has developed it is sitting right across, Dr. Vijay K. Shastri, who is my partner and promoter director of Murli Krishna Pharma. I also have my mother in the same audience, and she is a promoter director in the company too. So what we are going to talk here is that we are actually describing the journey of developing an innovative intervention for prevention of micronutrient deficiencies in women and children. Now, what is a micronutrient deficiency? We all know when we have fever, we get a medicine. When we have something else, we go for different kind of drugs. Micronutrient deficiency, unfortunately, is a deficiency that's not often identified in people. There are very few women who really go for checks to see whether they are running short of hemoglobin or whether they are running short of some vitamins. And all these kind of problems are what lead to a micronutrient deficiency. Let me try and tell you something basically from what we understand today. It's a 2000-day program that starts from the time any woman conceives a child. Basically, whenever any woman conceives a child, from that day onwards for 2000 days, the development of the baby goes on in the stomach and outside the stomach. The growth of the child is measured for 2 years, and 9 months is the time for delivery. At least 2 months before that, the woman actually needs to be healthy. Otherwise, you are going to have an unhealthy baby. And unfortunately, the problem in India and in the rest of the world is the same today, that everywhere the babies born are not born healthy. And an unhealthy child leads to an unhealthy adult. We have actually used a nanotechnology platform in the form of nano-sized liposomes for the fortification of a lotion, which is used for external application to prevent anemia. This intervention was actually developed by us as a proof of concept for a Canadian government combined with the Indian government initiative, where they wanted to check if there are other modes of delivery for iron in the human body. The existing methods are only two today. One is an injectable intervention, which is given to women during their pregnancy. Alternately, you are provided with what are termed as oral routes, which include anything from a normal iron tablet to probably liposomally encapsulated iron tablet. But at the end of the day, whichever way you take it in orally, the absorption of iron in the human blood is much less than 10 to 11%. Maybe it may go to 12%. It does not help anybody. Even the food eaten by all the people in the country, irrespective of being a vegetarian or non-vegetarian, even a vegetarian person's diet has as much as 10 milligrams of iron. But what happens to all this iron in our body? Whatever we go through our gut, and unfortunately we are all ridden with gut infections. Some are known, some are unknown. These gut infections prevent the absorption of iron into the blood. Iron does not metabolize easily. Iron has a bad taste. It has a lot of side effects associated with it, which could include both diarrhea or constipation. Children hate the taste of iron. So with all these problems, iron supplements are not a very, very good solution for people. Which is where we got into this story, and that is how our program started on developing a transdermal oil. Our first development was that of a transdermal oil. Globally, almost 50% of under 5 children suffer from hidden hunger due to deficiencies in essential nutrients, with the majority of these children being from developing countries. In India, 58.5% of the children aged 6 to 59 months are anemic, and 72% of this proportion is attributed to iron deficiency. It's a very, very big number. We are only next to Africa in this. Deficiencies of iron, folate and B12, especially during early childhood, have been linked with poor cognitive development in children. And D3 again, despite being a country filled with sunlight, we have a lot of D3 deficiencies in this country. Lack of D3, in fact, leads to poor muscular skeletal development of the child. As you can see, the same thing is written out there too. Vitamin D deficiency is found in 40 to 99% of the Indian population of all ages, and may have adverse health effects due to its important role in skeletal and extraskeletal formation. Despite the well-recognized benefits of the micronutrient supplement interventions, the benefits of conventional oral supplements have been suboptimal due to poor adherence and concerns about safety and adverse effects. There is a scope of development, and that is how we started our work on this product. I'll run through a couple of slides without explaining about them. I would rather do it in my way, just to give you an idea about what we have done here. This is the background of the study, what was done by us. Prevalence of anemia of women of reproductive ages, age 15 to 49. It's enormous. It's really, really bad. And again, the reason is poor nutrition, not having the right supplements, and also not having the right environment around them. Causes of anemia are mentioned as are your conditions in which you are growing up, or even, I would put it, it's a parental problem too. If the mother is anemic, the child is bound to be anemic. You cannot change the statistics in that place. These are a couple of reasons. The presence of a leaky gut syndrome or the environmental enteric dysfunction driven by water sanitation and hygiene, WASH as it's called. Hookworm infestation and genetic causes are other possible reasons. As I mentioned earlier, we do have infections in the gut, and these infections lead to a lot of problems. Anemia is also caused by blood loss, hemorrhoids, cancer. Non-steroidal drugs like aspirin, etc. also cause hemorrhaging within the system. Heavy menstruation and heavy periods also lead to fibroids and also post-trauma and post-surgery. Now there are various reasons for anemia. They could be caused by, these are all scientific, I think medical reasons which you can all look at: bone marrow and stem cell problems, iron deficiency anemia, sickle cell anemia, vitamin deficiency anemia, especially of B12 or folate. It can happen even if you aren't getting enough B12 or folate, because folate is also carrier for your iron. That's the reason why when Government of India went big in trying to promote iron, they also always promoted iron with folic acid. The reason being, it's a supplement. Folate is required for absorption of iron. You have the blood cancer, you have all other kinds which cause this problem. And it's also caused by decreased or faulty red blood cells. Same reasons are there again. Why vitamin D3? The possible mechanism of these associations could involve erythrocyte precursor cells that express 1,25-hydroxy vitamin D receptors, which induce proliferation and maturation of erythroid progenitor cells. Therefore, deficiency of vitamin D may affect erythropoiesis. These are all very scientific reasons. I am not going to waste too much time on each of them, because everybody who is from the medical fraternity is already aware of the variations which cause it. I'll come to the solution, which is more important than all this. But these are some percentages for everybody to understand the kind of anemia that exists around the country today and around the world also. Now, Indian government, and I really thank Shri Narendra Modi ji for coming up with the Anemia Mukt Bharat scheme. Anemia Mukt Bharat scheme was a scheme actually to make this country or the people of this country free from anemia. Now, how do you do it? One option was, which is already happening, where every newborn baby is given a kit which includes iron supplements and folate supplements. The mothers are given a lot of supplements. The pregnant women are given supplements. But in this process, what is happening is, despite all the medications and all the good food, there's still not been much of an improvement in terms of anemia. And probably that was one of the reasons why we were called in, not just in the earlier stage where we did the oil, when we did the transdermal oil, which was actually tested on babies, 0 to 6 months and 6 months to 12 months. And this study was done on 444 babies at Vadu Hospital, KEM Vadu. And it was a community trial. It was a 1-year trial. The first 6 months, there were no blood tests done at the beginning of the trial, but at the end of the 6 months, the blood tests were done. And it was actually found it was prophylactic. Children who were tending to be anemic did not become anemic anymore. Vitamin D absorption increased tremendously, and the babies were actually healthy. And we didn't have a single dropout during the study. There was no rash. Another problem when you are talking about transdermal iron is there's a microbial infection, chances of microbial infection. But because of the size of the particles, there was absolutely allergy or rash on the babies. Hard facts: 50 out of 100 pregnant women in India are anemic. 50% of the deaths as detected by DSIR are caused by anemia. 50 out of 100 pregnant women are anemic. Not a good sign. You have the challenges of the existing remedies. Oral fortification, why it doesn't work, I have already explained. Ill effects of poor supplementation proven by studies. Now, our product has been proven by studies because we have had a clinical data to prove what we are talking about. What are these nano-sized liposomal encapsulated micronutrient fortified lotion? Okay. Any particle less than, it's 1 to 1000 nanometers comes under nanometers, but our product size is much lower than that. And it's been made to match as per the skins, the dermal, the upper layer of the dermis. So that is how we have actually made the particles, so that there is no stretching of the upper layer of the dermis. See what happens when you give any transdermal application. I think a lot of people who are in cosmetology also are aware of it. Half of the creams you use initially feel good, but after a while your skin pores start opening out and becoming bigger. And as the pores get bigger and open, you actually take in more of dust and dirt into it, and that's how you develop more infections. In our case, what we have done is we have worked on the product size and we have ensured that there is no expansion of the skin at the upper level. There is an expansion as it goes down, but it is not on the top layer. So you do not have any causes of microbiology or microbiological infections. Basically what we did was surface area to volume ratio of the nanoparticles. Liposomes are a type of nanoparticles that are spherical phospholipids-based bilayers that assemble to entrap a hydrophilic medium and export. They resemble the cell membranes in composition and can be used to co-entrap both hydrophilic and hydrophobic agents, and have been extensively used in drug delivery. Suitably designed liposomes can potentially fluidize the stratum corneum by interacting with the ceramide-rich lipid layer of the stratum corneum and penetrate through the intact skin along with the hair follicles in the sweat glands. It goes through your sweat glands and directly goes to the blood. It does not pass through your gastric lining in any way. That is the biggest benefit of this product. That's why you are getting an iron absorption which is anywhere between 60 to 70%. And our entire thing is based on the fact that by the usage of this product in 45 days you can bring up the hemoglobin level by 1 unit at least. That's what we are proving through whatever we have done. The technology has demonstrated the safety and efficacy in vitro and in vivo animal models for transdermal delivery of nutrients at supplemental doses. Technology has also demonstrated no irritation potential during the irritation patch testing in healthy human volunteers. Micronutrient lotion fortified with liposomes of nutrients iron, folate, B12 and D can penetrate through the intact skin. Role of nanotechnology: everybody knows that if you are going to use nanotechnology, you are actually getting access to the rich capillary network which is below your skin. And that is what is going to allow the iron in the system to go to the iron in the product to enter the bloodstream. We are also performing a couple of PK studies right now by tagging the iron what we are using in our lotion and running tests post that. We are going to tag it so that when you actually do a blood test, you can understand whether the iron that's coming or iron that is visible in the blood, is it iron from our product or from food or diet what the person has taken. So basically, yes, toxicity studies have been performed by us at 5 times or 7 times over and above the range what we have given to the babies and adults. Since stratum corneum is the main barrier of skin penetration, most strategies involve optimization of nanoparticles to enhance the fluidization of penetration through the stratum corneum. In addition to these strategies, one can also design nanostructures to exploit the follicular and the sebaceous routes of drug delivery. Solid polymeric nanoparticles accumulate at hair follicle openings and penetrate deeper into the follicles than molecules in solution, allowing transfollicular delivery of the agents. This is an attractive route for transfollicular vaccinations, as labile peptide and DNA-based vaccines can be delivered non-invasively to the perifollicular antigen-presenting cells. Now, when we talk about this, what is it I am trying to talk here? There is an injection available, iron injections are available, which are there for the patients who are very low on hemoglobin, which are given. But they require what is called a medical intervention. You need a doctor to be able to give you an injection. And you need somebody to first test to know whether or not you are iron deficient in the first place. Our product does not require any doctor's intervention. We have maintained the doses below the RDA usage. So you can safely use it. It's a once a day usage and it gives you 10 milligrams of iron by using a 5 ml of the lotion. The size, composition, charge and the status of the skin, intact or injured, all play a role in determining the extent of penetration. Similarly, the degradability, surface chemistry and shape play important roles in determining the safety of the nanoparticles on systemic exposure through the skin. A clear understanding of these factors can help in designing pharmacological agents being delivered efficiently through the skin while avoiding the toxic effects of undesired penetration. This is the pathway, as you can see, of the transdermal drug delivery. People who are familiar can have an understanding about what we are talking about there. That is how it goes, and that's how it goes through the sweat glands and through the follicles and enters the capillary network of the blood. It's a very attractive route. This is how iron is absorbed in the human body. Systemic iron metabolism is highly conservative of total body iron content 4 grams with continuous recycling of iron from senescent erythrocytes as splenic macrophages, which supply 20 to 25 mg per day of iron needed for bone marrow, which are shown in those thick red arrows over there. Both iron deficiency and iron overload are detrimental and have to be avoided. Total body iron hemostasis is maintained by accurately matching unavoidable daily losses with intestinal absorption of type 3 iron. The master regulator is hepcidin, which neutralizes ferroprotein. That is the only known cell membrane iron exporter, mainly expressed by macrophages and on the basolateral membrane of absorbing intestinal cells. Hepcidin production is stimulated by high iron concentration in the tissues and in the circulation as well as by pro-inflammatory cytokines. On the other hand, it is suppressed by iron deficiency, hypoxia and increased erythropoiesis. If you are having any infections or if you are not keeping well, the iron absorption does get hampered and thereby you will not get sufficient iron into your blood, into the bloodstream. Now this was a study design done on animal toxicity studies that were done by us. As you can see, the group of animals and the dose and everything was put in. And everywhere the dose given was high. In test group 4, the dose given was very high. Test group 1 was the control or vehicle control, all were through dermal route of administration. Observations were animal behavior, anthropology, hematology, biochemistry of the biospecimens, and necropsy assessment will be done for all the animals at the end of 28 days. This was done on rats for 28 days at the National Toxicological Center in Pune in accordance with the new drug clinical trials of 2019. I'll come to this anyway. So basically we have been approved by the ease of doing business of Government of India to supply 2 million bottles of this product pan India over 9 states over 145 districts we will be supplying these bottles through the ASHA workers who will be providing these bottles and doing tests on the way on the women present in these places, and post 45 days of administration the women will be tested again. It's one of the largest pilot commercials to be conducted by Government of India. In fact, we have been approved and so has Elsevier been approved for the data accumulation. So this is a Government of India initiative being done through ease of doing business. These are the potential pathways of iron transplant from the skin, same as what I explained right now, but you can just go through it because I don't want to take too much time in explaining how it goes through. But the free iron will be cleared by the systemic circulation of K2. The transparent brown iron in the skin would generally undergo 3 major pathways of clearance. Most transparent brown iron in the skin will be cleared into the lymphatic system with a small fraction entering into the skin cells. A part of the transparent bound iron could also enter the systemic pool directly. Transparent bound iron that entered the intracellular compartment would re-enter the interstitial fluid at a relatively slower rate. This is our facility. In fact, earlier we were planning to do the manufacturing of the bottles at a separate site. Today we are doing it at our own site. So everything from making the liposomes in a lyophilized form to blending the liposomes into a lotion base and filling it into bottles and supplying the bottles will all be done at Murli Krishna Pharma itself. We specialize in nanoparticles. After I finish this, I would like to explain a bit about why nanoparticles and why Murli Krishna Pharma and what is our inherent interest towards nanoparticles. We are also, our R&D is approved by DSIR and we are also approved by the UAE, Ministry of Health in UAE and JFDA, UGMP. We are going to be providing 2 million bottles of MK-50, which is iron and micronutrient fortified transdermal lotion. These bottles will be delivered to ASHA workers spread over 9 states over a period of 2 years. Total number of women and adolescents taking part in this commercial trial will be around 2 million. Each bottle has 250 ml lotion comprising of 500 milligrams of elemental iron and doses of D3, B12 and folate within RDA limits. Dosing of one lotion bottle is approximately 45 days and is expected to bring up the hemoglobin levels by 1 unit. This assumption is based on various data collated over earlier clinical trials conducted on babies. Detailed data is available with the label. This is the composition and the label claim what we are providing. As you can see in the oil platform, because it was for babies, we only gave 1.5 milligrams of iron at that time. Today it's 5 mg, but the dispenser is made so that it's a 5 ml dispenser, so we are able to provide 10 mg at per day. Each woman can use it once and still get 10 milligrams of iron in that. The reason behind it is there is a problem with compliance, especially when you give bottles to people. Whether or not they are really going to apply it is always a question mark, and that is the reason why we try to restrict it to only one application in a day. Generally, the application of this particular lotion has to be done once when you, on any soft part of the human body. Ideally, we suggest always behind your, on this part of your wrist, because the major veins and major arteries and all are present around, at least the major veins are present there, so it's easier for penetration. The skin is very thin at that point. Other part is also there that since if you have just had a bath and you applied, your skin is generally more, it's more pliant. You can easily absorb whatever you're putting in it. The liposome is completely under grass, and toxicity of the same was done at a high dose of 7.5 milligrams, which is less than the label claim of the lotion. These are all the results what we got. No mortality was seen. All the animals appeared normal and showed no clinical signs of toxicity till the end of the study. It was a 28-day study that was done. No significant increase or decrease in hematological parameters. Hemoglobin, PCV, WBC, total and differential, RBC, reticulocytes, thrombocytes in all groups were all normal. There was no significant increase or decrease in blood chemistry parameters. All animals showed no abnormality in skin histology. And this was even seen when we did it with babies. There was no allergy, no rash, no dropouts, nothing. This is a study that was done by us at KEM Hospital, Vadu. And as I mentioned earlier, on 444 newborns were a part of the study. It was a clinical trial. It was an academic clinical trial that was done by us. The total compliance was monitored at the age of 6 months. Actually, at the age of 6 months was when the first blood test was done on the babies. I'm not trying to read every sentence out because it's same as what I mentioned, but as you can see, moderate. One of the beauties what we saw about the product was it was working in a prophylactic manner, and I think a prophylactic usage of a product makes more sense in the long run when you are giving it to children. These are all graphs related to the same thing. Overall, the proportion of babies with anemia increased at 12 months as compared to 6 months in both groups, but increase in anemia was prevented to some extent by the nano-fortified oil. 7.38% increase in intervention group versus 11.2% increase in the placebo group. The adjusted mean change in hemoglobin at 12 months was not significantly different between the groups after adjusting the compliance and concomitant medications. One of the reasons also was that the quantum of iron what we had provided to the babies was very less. Today we are going ahead, besides what is being done by Government of India, we are also going ahead with a study on 300 women, and that's again an ethical, that's not an academic trial, that's an ethical trial that's being performed in Karnataka. As you can see, the summary of the preclinical and the clinical studies, LMF oil provides supplemental doses of iron, vitamin D, folate and B12, which can be delivered transdermally through gentle application of the body oil. Why was an oil as a body used by us? The reason being that massage is an integral part of the Indian psyche. And I think all over the world, babies are given oil massages, mothers are given oil massages. So what we used was actually ghani tel. We say ghani tel kehte hain, or the cold pressed oil was what was used by us. And it was easier because the mothers found it easy to give the massage the baby's stomach post a bath using this oil. So basically for babies we recommended the navel as being the area where the application should be done. It showed good safety and tolerability in the clinical study for 12 months of use. This is just to give you an idea. This was an initiative done by the Government of India, and this is where we have come. And one thing about the lotion is once you apply it, it doesn't take too long. You don't need to massage it for too long. It only takes a few minutes. The reason also behind all these studies and all these kind of work which government is doing, it's also to empower the ASHA workers through technology. All the ASHA workers will be provided with iPads. They will be taught how to enter the data into the iPads. The bottles are all going to be, bottles are going to have what are called as markings within it, so that we know how much of the lotion has been used by the women. And all the data that is collated, of course, belongs to Government of India itself. But yes, it will tell us where the problems are. One very strange fact which we did find out before we started embarked on all these studies was there was a data study done in Haryana in the among the rural women, and it was found among the rural women that the average hemoglobin of the Indian rural women was 6.5, which is dismal. And if you compare it against the city, I am very sure it would be much less, because the city women don't get even that amount of iron what the village women do. So the situation is really bad. It is dangerous. It leads to deaths during pregnancy. It leads to babies who are unhealthy. Somewhere as a country and as a set of people, I think we need to look into this micronutrient fortification, which is a necessity. Whether we use my bottle or we use something else, but at the end of the day, it is necessary that people are made aware of the fact that iron deficiency can lead to deaths. It is not something which you can ignore. It is not something that can be ignored. And that is why we are here, and that's what we are trying to do. And before I end this, I'll just try and explain a bit about what we do with nanoparticles at Murli Krishna. We started our journey into nanoparticles way back in 2013-14 when we started working on the oral solid products itself, but using what was called nanosuspensions. The smaller the particle size, the better is the bioavailability of the product, and that's where we started off from. And larger is the surface area that the product will cover. So starting with that, we started with some oral solid dosage products where we went in with nanoparticles. Today we have a full-fledged plethora of products which are all based only on nanoparticles and nano-encapsulation products. And these products are all patent non-infringing, new patents, INDs which we are filing. We have our own patents on the products. Some of the products include a soft mist delivery platform for a product like glucosamine, which is a very poorly soluble drug, and we have made it as a soft mist. Similarly, in ophthalmology, in product like brinzolamide, we made particle size which is less than 700 nanometers. We also have products between 1 to 2 micron size. The reason was that the delivery would become easier and better, would be more patient compliant, lead to less toxicity for people, and at the end of the day, give better patient care. And I'm very sure that India, with its vast pool of scientists and technologists, can do a wonderful job in ensuring that we lead when it comes to R&D. R&D is not just limited to the big companies in the world. R&D can be done even by the smaller companies. You just need to have passion for doing it. And I think with Dr. Shastri and his team, I've always found that passion has been the first thing, and that is how we have developed all that we did at Murli Krishna. I give a lot of credit to my parents who stood by me and stood by all my madnesses, whatever were there in going through it, setting up the plant and doing whatever I was doing out here. My late father was an emeritus professor with IIT Bombay, and my mother, of course, who is here, she also handles the purchase. She's a director on the board. She is a retired economics school teacher, and well, I come from a family of educationists. I'm probably the first one who has ventured away from what I studied and what I'm doing today, but I've enjoyed every moment of it. It's been turmoil, it's been fun, it's been tough, it's been everything. It's like deep sea diving, where you really don't know what is the depth of the sea. Setting up an industry in India is not easy, and whoever has set it up always knows this. It is deep sea diving. No IIM can ever teach you what are going to be the pitfalls when you go about that path. And there are very wonderful people who have done it, who have gone down. A lot of them who are unknown. Some of us who get known because we come out of that bottom and try to float our way back up again. So once again, thanks a lot for giving me a very patient hearing. And Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra. Have a good day.
Thank you, Dr. Satya Vadlamani, for your insightful talk. Now I request Dr. Satya Brahma on stage to present a memento as a mark of respect to her. Satya means Satya. Always.
I know that, I understood.
So, Satya, you spoke about the transdermal oil, which is actually game changing. Any research that we do in India, the end of the day, it's a commercializer. If you don't get money out of it, then it goes in waste. So you have invested a substantial amount of your time, energy and resources for that. How do you plan to make it commercialized? Because as I understand now, it is limited to very few places. Now since you have a bigger aim, you have tied up with Ministry of Health and others. So what is your game plan to make it commercialized and it goes out to the people? And if it is going to do that, what would be the price of that?
Okay, you've asked me a lot of questions in one, so let me try and answer them bit by bit. My idea is to first put this product out to Government of India only to the people. I would like that every mother who is pregnant, through the public healthcare system which exists in India, such bottles are available for all of them. That is my first aim. We have not priced it very high. As of now, what we are giving it to Government of India is at 1125 rupees per bottle. One bottle comes for 45 days. It's a therapeutic product. It is not a nutraceutical product. It is
This is a doctor prescribed product. It's a prescription given.
it need not be prescribed, but it is a therapeutic drug. Why I am trying to state that is, yes, it can be even offered OTC if somebody wants it. But the reason why I am mentioning it's therapeutic is we have not got our approvals as nutraceutical or anything else. We got our approvals from CDSCO and all other departments as a drug. So basically my reason why I am emphasizing on the word drug is today you have a lot of transdermal products on the cosmetology side and maybe some from bigger companies also. But none of them declare the quantum what is going into you per dose. Like you have vitamin C infused serums which are priced somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 and 4,000 etc. They are more for again cosmetic purposes. But having said that, none of them declare what is the actual amount of, you get the total quantity of the product in it, but you really don't know what you're getting when you're using the product. So these are areas of concern because a product like vitamin C, if it is not liposomally encapsulated, can actually make you fair, make you dark. So these are things which people should understand. That's why I keep on emphasizing on the word therapeutic.
What about the clinical trials that you have undertaken and how many investigators were involved to find out the real efficacies are coming out?
This was the first one that was done as I mentioned at Badu. KEM hospital was the one that was involved in it. All the studies, all the reports, all the blood tests, all are available, all the data is available. That data is what we have also shared with EODB and the data is available at KEM hospital even today. So there were a lot of principal investigators, there's one Dr. Aditi Rao, a lot of people from KEM were involved in doing the necessary studies related to it. And now what we are doing, of course, it will not be what we call as a trial, it will be a commercial trial because this is called pilot trials.
Right.
Like EODB has worked with e-highways right now. I think they have just flagged off a couple of days back the trucks that went from Delhi to Jaipur in the e-trucks, e-buses and e-trucks. So EODB is the one involved in this commercial pilot.
So the route that you have taken is through the government route.
Yes, it is.
Are you looking at any marketing tie-up with any companies right now?
I would not mind that, but again, I would first like the product to reach the people through the government, and then I would like to look at tying up with anyone. The reason being, it's an innovation which I am offering the government.
And what is the production capacity which you can do?
Huge. Today we are targeting around, at least in the new facility what we are setting up, we are targeting anywhere between 3 lakh bottles to 4 lakh bottles per month. It's a huge amount.
Anyway, that's a wonderful talk that you had. So these are the questions which I had in mind. I thought we could get it cleared out. Thank you for being on the show. It was a very good presentation.
It's always a pleasure being with you, Dr. Satya. Thank you.
And I would like to also